Amen. Our speaker this morning is Claire Bressi. Claire is a 4-year student from Schwenksville, PA. She's the president of the orchestra, a member of the band TST, student band vice president, a writing fellow, and a member of the Ellis Theater Guild. And she's the proud roommate of Lillian Zaverick. Claire?
Margaret Conrad is, first and foremost, a woman of God, a devout follower of Christ and his teachings, and the very embodiment of a true Catholic. Every morning at 5 a.m., she wakes up and writes in her prayer journals, her meticulous scrawl a softly slanted cursive only fit for her hand. She sees the inherent value and worth in every living thing. She opened a pregnancy care center in the middle of her poverty-ridden town and ran it for multiple years, collecting clothes, food, and providing health care to women in the community who couldn't afford it. She married her husband when she was 18 and had 7 kids, one of which was my mother. My grandma, Margaret Conrad, is the most religious woman I know. She is also the kindest. My whole life, I've looked up to her. She carries herself with an unwavering sense of who she is, and from as early as I can remember, she has encouraged me to know myself just the same, even though I worry that becoming that person might be what disappoints her most. Because faith shaped the earliest understanding of love and goodness in my life, it also became the first place where fear and shame quietly took root. Growing up, I went to church every weekend, the same way both my parents did their whole lives. I wore my best clothes because my mom would never let us wear anything less, and I sat in the pews with my hands clasped, pretending to pray because I didn't actually know the words yet. My favorite part of church was when I daydreamed. I would drift off into worlds I created, of stories I wanted to write. My nightly prayers, however, were a different matter. I had those words engraved onto my heart. It was at night I would name all the people I wanted to pray for, which meant naming every member of my family, my pets, my friends, and sometimes the neighbor girl who I found a little annoying, because I thought goodness was blindly memorizing the right words before I ever knew what I wanted. In Catholic school, I had a really easy time making friends because I had no reservations about anything as a kid. My memories of my elementary school life are saturated and tinged in gold. I had baseless confidence, and I gave out kindness like candy, and every day I was authentically myself. I would carry rocks and pine cones in my backpack that I had found outside because I deemed those ones special. I was convinced there were monsters under my bed, so at night I would sing because I thought if they liked my voice, then they'd leave me alone. I was easily excitable and often loud, and I liked to make people laugh. That was the most important thing to me. At that point in my life, I had no reason to fear any part of who I was, until that fear was taught to me. After I left Catholic school, I attended a weekly religion class on Monday nights. We learned many stories from the Bible, but the lesson on Adam and Eve sticks in my mind in particular. I remember the classroom, the sound of the chairs scraping on the linoleum, the poorly animated video, and the old smell of the Bibles, which wasn't the good kind. We learned about man and woman and how that is the way it is. Though I was often horribly bored, the memory of that day haunts me as the first time I truly processed sin. My first feeling of shame was because I was told that, from the moment I was born, I was imperfect. That lesson did more than explain sin. It taught me that there was a part of me I couldn't quite scrape away or hide beneath my clothes, something unseen by others, but I felt carved deep into my soul. In the 3rd grade, I had a friend who couldn't take no for an answer. She was obsessed with figuring out which boy in the class I had a crush on, and she kept pestering me. So, is there really no one? There has to be someone you at least find cute. Come on, I won't tell. Just to get her off my back, I said a random boy's name in the class. It and him was the last thing I cared about. A few weeks later, while on a field trip, she told the entire class. I was mortified, not just because I'd had a secret spread around, but because it wasn't even true. By 5th grade, all anyone seemed to care about anymore was who liked who, and having crushes on boys, and things I had no interest in participating in. It felt like no one wanted to just be a kid anymore. So I went about my days as I always did. I went to church. I made up stories in my head. I grew quieter. I watched as the people around me stopped doing things just for the fun of it, and I stayed as far away as possible. What began as quiet confusion slowly became something heavier. The belief that something essential about me was broken. One summer, while camping with my family, I sat with my grandma outside under the dark night sky. The trees swayed softly around us, tall and imposing, and the firelight danced across them. My grandma swirled through stories about her life and her children, stories about the age of the rocks in the forest and where they came from. With the taste of burnt wood on my tongue and grass in my nose, I sat and listened. When the fire began to dwindle, she handed me a prayer card of a beautiful Native American woman, the first Native American saint, she told me. Her name was Kateri Tekakwitha, the patron saint of the environment, and she recited a tale for me about this woman's difficult journey in life, how she must have walked through this same land we now sat on. Stories of a woman who had, despite every reason not to, held on to hope. The closest I've ever felt to God has been out there in the depths of nature, where it feels like the earth is breathing all around you. It had no reason to speak to me, but I tried to hear its voice anyway. In moments like this, love felt holy, but I began to wonder why that same holiness was denied to parts of myself. The first time I ever thought of a girl romantically, I was in church. 7th grade me was awkward. My smile always stretched just too far, my limbs too long and skinny for my body. It was late winter, and the lights of the church glowed warm in contrast to the dark night sky that bled through the stained glass. I was kneeling, the priest's words white noise in my ear, my mind elsewhere. I couldn't help thinking about this girl I knew. She was a year older than me. The two of us had done track together for so long, and she was everything I ever wanted to be. Bright, confident, strong, pretty. I let my mind wander in a way I never liked to do, let it float to the darkest recesses of my mind where I'd hidden things away. In my head, I asked myself a question I'd never thought about before. What if you dated her? I froze internally, then pushed it away. From this point on, I knew, deep down, who I was. No one knows yourself better than you do. But it's a much harder task to admit out loud. Figuring out who I was should have set me free, but instead, it taught me how to live in silence. No one ever really talked about gay people to me. It was very much out of sight, out of mind. My church never talked about it, and neither did my parents or friends. The most exposure I had was on the internet, where I would see religious rhetoric about how being gay was a sin, and that every gay person was going to hell. Maybe I believed it for a short time, and maybe that belief has stuck in my chest since. But after a while, I just got angry. There were so many people parading around under the message of God, spreading hate, and no one in my life said anything about it. I graduated middle school, and the whole time, I started to unknowingly be suffocated by my own dishonesty and fear. In my first month here at Hill, I stopped praying. For the first time in 14 years, I didn't pray to God at night. I didn't pray for anyone. If there was a God, he had left me out to dry, and I didn't care anymore to entertain his compassion. I changed after I came to Hill. I didn't smile or laugh as much anymore. My eyes always felt like they had a weight to them, where I just wanted to close them and never open them again. I stayed in my room, and I cried more, and I lost myself. I didn't let anyone in. I often responded to kindness with rejection, either making jokes at my expense or others. The quiet shame that had built in my chest now felt like a crushing weight on my soul. It did not announce itself loudly. Instead, it eroded me quietly. My slow drag through life brought me to meet my friend Kaylin at the end of my 4th form year. To say she was loudly gay is an understatement. She practically shouted it everywhere, with no care about how other people felt about it. For the first time in my life, someone talked to me about gay people as if it were a normal, everyday thing. Caitlin had this way of total honesty about her that made you want to be honest too, because she said whatever she wanted, whenever. When I couldn't even say the word myself because I was too scared, she was already yelling it in the dining hall when she found out. She made the shame in my chest diminish just a little bit every day. And in that space, where I finally felt allowed to exist, I found myself thinking again about my grandmother. I was sitting in her dining room, the summer sun, warm and orange, listening as she spoke to my mother about the way blades of long grass sway in the wind. In that lovely way of hers, she said, "Every creation sings its praises to God." I realized in that moment something important. If every creation sings, then fear and shame were never part of the song. Whatever faith truly is, it was never meant to silence who I am. And I realized then that shame had distorted my understanding of faith, but love never did. I don't want to hide anymore. I grew up my whole life believing that God could not and would not love me, that the imperfection in my soul I was born with wasn't just a crack, it was a ravine, and any bridge I tried to build across would crumble. My dishonesty almost crushed me. So what I have to tell you now is this: you have to be yourself. You can't let ideas about faith or tradition or what a good person is meant to look like dictate who you're allowed to be. You can't let the fear of disappointing the people you love convince you that parts of you must be hidden. Shame grows in those spaces where identity is treated as something to correct rather than a part of yourself to love. And nothing is worth the parts of yourself you will lose in this process. Maybe there's a part of you that the idea of telling others about makes your stomach flip and your skin turn clammy. If there is, hold it up to the sky and don't shy away from the light. I still struggle to tell people, to say the words out loud and be honest. Some days I feel normal. Other days I remember things and the hole in my chest becomes unbearable. Even just writing this chapel talk and the mere thought of coming up here and speaking about this to all of you made me sick to my stomach. Yet I'm here anyway because I need to talk about it the way no one did for me. Now, my relationship with God and religion is an incredibly complex and multifaceted issue I don't yet fully understand. Maybe God isn't one being up in the sky. Maybe it's the sound of the trees as the sun sets, or the feeling of hearing the earth take a breath. My grandma said that every creation sings its praises to God, but maybe that's because God is already inside of every creation. I don't know exactly what I believe yet, but I understand this. Hiding doesn't make you holier. It just makes you smaller. I don't find any comfort in going to church anymore. Instead, I found comfort in knowing that there's nothing broken about me. I'm a lesbian, and I'm never going to let anyone's opinion determine how I feel about myself, because there's nothing unholy about being who you are. Thank you.